1, 2, 3. Beaver, does this work?
Out.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to. Are we on?
We're on.
Hey, what up?
I think we're on.
Okay. Welcome to the Detroit Lions weekly update. Sean Baligian.
I love the turnaround. The name of the show, yeah, it's the Lions Weekly Update. How are you?
Dude, I'm old. I don't know what I'm doing. I just know it's Sunday. I should probably be in church, confessing my sins for the week.
This is a form of church.
It is.
In a way, not to be blasphemous or insult anybody.
It is.
This
We
is
preaching.
therapy.
Yeah.
You preaching?
Yeah. Especially as we get into the nitty gritty, as the season is going, we're gonna have some heart to hearts here as a crew.
Well, I need a heart to heart with young Sean. You came in here all with what's that? Spit and vinegar and. I said, what's wrong with this dude?
My prostate, I had to piss.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that was, I have a long journey to get here, and it was like, okay, I'm finally here. Morning, guys, and I had to run straight to the bathroom. You kidding
Yeah.
me?
You just outed him on national internet.
Yeah, that's all right. I was full of, piss and vinegar.
Piss and vinegar, okay.
I was.
Now, as I age, this is something I probably shouldn't confess. Do you have to sometimes sneak behind a supermarket or something to use the bathroom because you can't quite make it home?
No. Okay, so for me, if I have to, there's a gas station in between, like, the grocery store and my house. And sometimes I do the double. Okay, well, I could probably top off my gas tank and use the pisser. So sometimes that's kind of like my safety, but at the grocery store. Because you know what the thing is, at the grocery store, you have to hassle somebody. You have to hassle them and go, can I use your pisser? Because, like, at my grocery store, you just can't walk back there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's like an employee area.
Oh.
But if you say to somebody, can I use your pisser? They'll go, yeah. I don't want to seek anybody out.
Yeah, they don't care.
You don't think so?
No, I mean, the employees don't care. All they want to do is get paid. They don't care if you use the bathroom or whatever. But I don't like to brag, but my grocery store, the bathroom is up front. So you don't have to go into the grocery store. You just go up front, in front of the cash register, do your thing, and leave.
Sometimes you have to do your business. It's just the way it is, man.
If you want to get a little more progressive, a little more granola, Trader Joe's, they got public restrooms. If you want to know, they're pretty clean too.
Really?
Yeah. Some Kroger's, but I know the Trader Joe's, they like to feed our youth. We need our privacy, the millennials, as we were talking before.
You know what Trader Joe's has? The greatest frozen foods in the world.
Factual. You ever got their tiramisu? They got a tiramisu for like $4. It's good. Quality.
No. Now, gentlemen, I don't know why. Maybe it's just me, but everybody's been freaking out about Frank Ragnow retiring. I'm not that freaked out about it. He's a center, not a quarterback. And yes, it's an important position, but the last time I checked, they still had Penei Sewell, Decker, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, who could be a candidate for Offensive Player of the Year.
I think so.
The team is still really, really good.
Yeah.
And now I'm hearing all this panic. Oh, Lions, oh my God, what's going to happen to them?
They're still very good, but I can't undersell it. If we had a conversation a week ago, and we didn't have this conversation, but if we had a conversation a week ago on this show, and the name Frank Ragnow came up, I'll bet you across the board we would have said if he isn't the best center in the game, he's second best center in the game. I don't think you can just take that guy off your offensive line and go full Lego. Yeah. Everything is awesome. Eventually we'll get there. I think. What's the one thing, T, you always hear, especially offensive linemen, talk about? Continuity.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with you. It's like the three of us, okay? When we start working together, I never did a show like this, okay? When we started working together, it was like, all right, let's find our lane, let's find our space. And now we're okay. Eventually it's going to be okay. This is not a season-long thing. for the Lions, I
Right.
don't think. Eventually it's going to be okay. But when you take the anchor of your line, and again, he's one of the best in the game. If you don't want to call him the best, that's okay. One of the best, I think, at the very least. Yeah, it's a concern. It is. Is it a major concern? Is this a difference between going 12-5, 11-6? Like I think most of us think? No, but I think there's going to be some growing pains for the line. Is that a fair way to put it, T?
Fair way to put it. It's a concern, but I don't think it's this deal breaker.
Okay.
Or this major concern. He's good. He's one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like he's a center in the NBA. It's not like he's the quarterback. I think they will survive.
They definitely will survive, especially here in Motown. But like Sean said, we can't undersell his importance to the team. He's a great player, but also the type of scheme they run, the way Hank Fraley and this offense runs. That center position is important pre-snap, obviously post-snap. Frank Ragnow was one of the best, so to replace him, you don't replace him with one guy. You're going to need multiple players on that unit to step up and pick up the slack that you lose with him out of the lineup. Fortunately, this offense, which we think is going to be fairly similar, they like playing with two tight ends. They've got the best offensive line coach in the NFL. I repeat, the best offensive line coach in the NFL. So they will be all right. It's just, how are you starting the season? Are you starting it with two rookies playing and a sophomore? Are you starting with Graham Glasgow playing center, who athletically isn't as strong as some of the other guys, but that continuity, he's done it with Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell before. There are question marks, but that doesn't mean they still can't be a good team.
This is why I love a general manager like Brad Holmes, who plays, we've talked about it 1,000 times, he plays chess. He's looked ahead. There are pieces in place. Now, has his process been sped up more than they like?
Yeah.
Yes, because I think we all agree. This is a guy, he's old school. He doesn't like to put rookies in those positions. Give them a little time, and then we come full circle. You go back to the whole chess thing of he's looked into the future and he's seen, okay, there are going to be some changes coming sooner rather than later. This just speeds up the process a little bit, I think.
Plus, he doesn't trust rookies.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. You really, Terry, this has sped up the process a little bit.
Yeah, Terry, Sean, Joshua Gallatin in the chat. Teams who remain competitive have turnover at many levels of positions all the time. It's not just New England. Kansas City had it to agree. But then right after that, Broski Bear, who I'm assuming we know who he roots for. Detroit Lions in trouble? For sure. Bears, Vikings, Packers, Eagles, Ravens, Steelers, Browns, Chiefs, Bucks all have very tough defensive lines. The Lions' IOL is severely downgraded this season. So there have been changes, and we're just talking about Ragnow, but they did lose Kevin Zeitler, too, who was an all-pro caliber right guard last season. I think did he make the Pro Bowl? I don't know. He should have. He was great. So you're now losing two key pieces to that interior.
I understand that, but I think their two tackles are amongst the best in the NFL, too. And who is the offensive line coach? Hanky boy.
Yeah.
He's supposedly the best in the game. Guys that we never heard of, they fit in there, and they're good. He's going to take these rookies, Ragnow, and he's going to turn them into something.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a hands-on coach, very smart. He knows how to get the most out of his players. I just think that's going to happen again. And when you look at the recent history of this team, they go through all these pratfalls and door traps, and we freak out. We freaked out about Dan Campbell being a goofball of this opening press conference.
Mm-hmm.
He's such an idiot, he can't really be a good coach. We freaked out about that. We freaked out about Brad Holmes is doing whatever the fuck he feels like doing, bringing in Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell. Freaked out about that, right?
Yeah, everybody did.
What is wrong with him?
Yeah.
You don't draft a running back in the first round. You don't follow it up with a linebacker. This guy's an idiot.
Idiot.
Right.
They say.
Right. Then Dan Campbell. He goes for it too often. What's wrong with him? Now, when you look at the rest of the NFL is following Dan Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing what he does. So everybody's going for it on fourth down now. And he started that.
And drafting running backs, signing running backs to money. They drafted Gibbs that year. Remember, they got rid of Swift and then drafted Gibbs in the year that running backs weren't getting paid. Like,
right.
We were talking about that position going extinct. They did that, and all of a sudden, a year later, our guy DeAndre Swift gets $36 million from our rival.
Let me ask you a question. Let's go back to Zeitler.
Yeah.
How good is Zeitler? And I'm not trying to disrespect. How good is Zeitler? And the follow-up question before you answer that is, don't you think he was better because of those around him?
Yeah. He was very, very good, and yes. Both are true.
Right. And I think because, and that, Terry, this goes back to your initial comment, because those around him, including an absolutely dominant Penei Sewell, okay? It's like me working with you guys, all right? I'm better working with you two.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Don't blow smoke up our ass.
No, I got an all-pro and an all-pro here, okay?
Yeah.
So you got the fifth-round pick sitting right here, guy going, wow, I got lucky to end up here.
All right, everybody.
So
everybody go have a cup of coffee. This guy is full of shit today. All right. We're going to have to adjust him or shoot him full of drugs or something.
I'm ready.
We got to get him back.
I'm not a fifth-round pick anymore, damn it. You know, all of a sudden, but no, I hope you get the point. I'm not saying it's as simple as plug and play, okay? But it is. It is. They've got a really good offensive line still. Is this a hit? Absolutely. Is it going to take time? Absolutely. You don't just replace one of the best in the league, but it still can be okay. Mm-hmm. It can still be a good thing. And I think that's where we're at.
Do they have one of the best offensive lines in the league still? Like you said that, and I believe it. And
I do too.
I believe that Hank Fraley is going to get this get the ship driving straight. But there are 3 question marks. That your entire interior is a question mark. And again, I think they're going to be fine. But we're talking a sophomore, possibly 2 rookies, or Glasgow, who might be, trending downward. They signed this Tristan Colon, who played with Arizona last year. Again, they're playing in between Penei Sewell and Taylor Decker, but also that 5th-round pick or 6th-round pick, was Mahogany 5th or 6th? Late-round pick, it's a little easier playing in between Ragnow and Sewell than a rookie in Penei Sewell.
All right, here's why I'm not freaking out. Let's go to the Lions offense. We call the Lions offense explosive, and that is correct. But the Lions offense is explosive because David Montgomery knocks the shit out of people, and then goes to the next level. So he's still going to knock people over. The fact that Ragnow's not there is not going to prevent David Montgomery from knocking you on your ass. B, Jahmyr Gibbs, fast and shifty as all get out.
Oh, yeah.
That's not going to change the fact that he can still break runs. He can still juke you. He can still outrun you. That doesn't change. The passing game doesn't go over the top very often. It's Jared Goff stepping back, throwing underneath to St. Brown, end arounds with J-Mo. So they're not this offense that's pressuring the defense all the time from the standpoint, we're going to go on top. We're going to challenge you that way. But it's the safe pass. It's the quick pass. That's why I'm not freaking out.
I am not. I refuse to be worried about a schedule. I'm serious. That we're at the point right now where it seems like most people are worried about a schedule. And Terry, maybe I've been around too long. I have seen teams that we all thought were going to be all that turned into crap. I have seen teams that we thought were going to be crappy that snuck up on everybody, okay? I refuse to be worried about a schedule. I'm sorry. That's one thing I am not going to do. I'm not going to do it.
I agree with you.
I'm sorry.
Because the schedule, how many times does the schedule change? It's like, oh, my God, this thing is tough. And then it's like, okay, this team's, once you start playing, these guys not that great.
Yeah.
And I love that Dan Campbell has kind of taken that tact. I love it. Like, I always go back to the Green Bay game last year. Like, remember everybody, the leading up to that Green Bay game at Lambeau?
Yeah.
Oh, the weather's going to be so bad. Oh, it's Packer weather. Whatever are we going to do? And Dan comes up there before everybody. Broder, you were probably there, and he's going, man, I love this. This is pack the dip. Let's put on our hard hats, and let's go play football, get our hands in the mud, all that. And it's like, yeah, you embrace this. You want to talk shit? You want to tell everybody how good you are? Those are the moments where you embrace them and you say, yeah, let's go. We're going to beat you because that's our game. Mm-hmm. And we're one side of our mouth, we're going to talk how gritty we are, right? And then we're going to, oh, no, it's rainy and muddy. Whatever will we do? You know, that shit, it drives me out of my mind.
And in the Green Bay game, the Lions looked like the team that played in the mud all the time, and Green Bay looked like the dome team.
Yep. And with the soft quarterback, I might add as well.
That's right.
They had the soft quarterback that day.
Yeah. That goes back to, you're talking about the guys that Brad Holmes drafted that people don't always understand right off the bat. He's drafting football players and tough humans like this. Jack Campbell doesn't give a shit what the weather is. They enjoy when it's nasty out because they know they have the mental advantage over the team across from them. And that's what the NFL is. How many of these games in the NFL are one-score games? It's about who's tougher up here in the head.
It's almost 50%.
Yeah. So it's about who's more mentally tough in those games. Who can squeak out those tough games in the middle of the season when you're banged up and you're playing with second and third string guys. Lions proved that they could do that with eighth string guys on defense last year. Obviously until the playoffs.
Well,
but that's all Dan Campbell
the
and Chris Spielman.
Playoffs are a different animal.
Right.
And then the Commanders had a rookie quarterback who didn't crack, who we expected to crack.
Yeah.
Because that's what rookies do.
That boy did
That's
not.
where they lost. He did
That's
not.
that's what all this season boils down to me. Terry, is what you just said. The playoffs are a different animal. Like this is all theater until the playoffs start. I'm sorry, because we have graduated to the level that so many other franchises have been at for years. We are going to call this season ultimately a success or failure, pass fail, by what happens in January and February. Up till that point in time, I don't want to dismiss it. It doesn't matter because, it does matter. If you go 9-8 and you miss the playoffs, it matters immensely, right? But and this is what I would say to our Bears friend with a tip of respect here. I would much rather be in the position the Detroit Lions are in right now. The Detroit Lions don't have to prove anything to the Bears, to the Vikings, or to the Packers. They don't have anything to prove. Nothing, okay? You're chasing us. For the first time in our lives, we can sit back and go, nah, we really are the kings of the North. You can throw your chest out and tell everybody how much better the Bears are going to be this year, and I'm not going to say you're wrong. I don't know. I can't say that you're wrong. What I can say is you're chasing us. There's no doubt about that. And so are the Vikings, and so are the Packers. So I kind of like that position going into a season. Are there questions? Yeah, of course there are questions. And I think to just dismiss them and say everything's going to be okay and going to the Legoland song is out your mind. But at the same time, it goes back to Broder what you are. There's a toughness. There's a mental acuity about this team right now. And I feel good about it because of that.
Yeah.
I do, T.
And you should. But I'm not saying that you dismiss this. But we always view the sky as falling with this team who's different, with this team who wins games. We don't talk or think about 15-2. We think about that one game against the Commanders.
Yep.
And the year before that, we didn't think about the 12 wins. We thought about the losses to the Bears, the losses to the Ravens, loss to Tampa Bay. That's what we think about with this team now.
How about this? Randy P in the chat. The other teams should fear their schedule when they see the Lions on it.
Amen.
How about that? Peaceful Tim follows up. Strength of schedule is a myth. It's based on records from teams that are no longer assembled. Every season, the teams change players and staff.
I like you, pal.
Here's the thing Dan Campbell's kind of saying. You got to go underneath it. He's saying we got to be worried about everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got to be worried about the Bears. Got to be worried about Minnesota. Got to be worried about the Packers. Got to be worried about
The Giants.
the Browns. Even though the Browns may go out and run a wishbone and not have a quarterback.
Yeah.
We don't know what they're going
Dylan
to do.
Gabriel pitched to Shedeur Sanders, pitched to Joe Flacco for the bomb.
Bam.
Yeah.
Now, I heard they had Shedeur Sanders running some pass plays. I mean, him going out catching passes.
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
It may have been just him horsing around and stuff, but
What, thrown from Deshaun Watson?
Sean Watson, excuse me, non-factor.
Yeah.
I know that's your boy.
No, I'm not here to massage his ego.
Okay.
You get a little rubbing tug.
You sure?
Yeah. No, but you talk about the schedule, and I'm with you. But that doesn't mean in week 6, Chris Jones doesn't come to town, or week 7, Vita Vea, or week 8, the Vikings revamp defensive line, or the Commanders with Kinlaw and Deron Payne in week 10. And then the Giants, who I don't expect to be any good, that defensive line is disgusting. They're worthy of being scared of. So you're right. The offense doesn't need to change, but Jared Goff, and I'll say this of any quarterback in the NFL, pressure up the middle is the toughest pressure to deal with. And that's the pressure that Jared Goff can't escape. He's actually okay when pressure comes from the outside. He's pretty savvy in the pocket. But when it comes up the middle, it's a problem. Are we worried about that at all? Like, some of the best defensive tackles.
But once again, they run a quick passing game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as quick as the Rams, but he gets his stuff. All his stuff is underneath.
Mm-hmm.
It's quick. And so the reason he's able to avoid the outside rush, and I say it again, he's got that white boy wiggle. The white boy wiggle works with the outside pass rush. The white boy wiggle doesn't work when it's interior.
Right.
But he's got the white boy wiggle.
Yeah. J.J. McCarthy, he can scramble. Caleb Williams and Jordan Love, they can scramble the outside, but Jared Goff is the best pocket passer in the NFC North. One of the best in the NFL.
I used to love. It's funny you use white boy wiggle. Is that
White
what it
boy
was?
wiggle.
Ben Roethlisberger was what, 7'8", 520 pounds. I mean, here's this giant target.
He's a redwood.
That little sidestep that he took, it just. And you saw it coming. I could still see it. The guy's been gone for a few years. Just that little slide step that he took that bought himself some more time, and it's huge. The thing that they've done, and we've talked about it so much, they've put a quarterback in positions of comfortability, and that's what they've done with Jared Goff, and that is a huge part of this renaissance. And again, with all due respect to our neighbors in the north. Guys, we're 10-2 against you the last couple years. Okay, like you're chasing us. The Vikings haven't beat us since what, the Nixon administration? Doesn't it seem like that long since the Vikings won a game? And the onus is on you guys. Guess what? We're the hunter now, whether we want to admit it or not. In this division, okay? Yeah, we're the hunter. Right, and the hunted, excuse me. And we've always been the hunters. So at the end of the day, I'm just not worried about. I'll worry about the division when I have to worry about the division. How's that? Is that
fair enough?
In the meantime, you can all tell me how
enough.
great you are and how improved you are and how we're falling apart. I remember living that way. I lived that way for years. This was the year the Packers. Oh, no, they can't continue this. I like this side better.
Yeah.
I like this side with you guys. Little pinch your cheeks, how cute you are, and this will be your year. I'll take where I'm sitting right now. I will.
Yeah, and Crazy Clown in the chat, who's our number one supporter at the moment, says the only thing I know for sure is the Bears will always be who I think they are. You said it.
Man, they talk. Man, I got accosted at a bookstore 2 years ago by a Bears fan.
Really?
Talking so much crap about the Lions are not going to have a winning record. The Lions are not going to win the playoff game. You guys in Detroit don't understand. They're bamboozling you again. And the Lions did have a winning record. They went to the NFC Championship game. I understand why people don't believe in the Lions because the history is so crappy. But
Tell me about that Bears history. When was their last 4,000-yard quarterback?
Been to Super Bowl.
True.
Won Super Bowl.
Yeah. Shout out Rex Grossman.
I still can't believe that happened. I still, like, honest to goodness.
Yeah.
Like, they should put a statue of Lovie Smith outside that damn stadium.
Yeah.
Rex Grossman took them to the Super Bowl.
Didn't they fire him a year
Facts.
or two after? Like, it was
I
pretty
think-
soon.
I think it was it 11 they fired him?
Something.
Yeah, it was a few years after it.
Yeah.
And I think it was after a 10-6 season too. They missed the playoffs at 10-6 and they got rid of him, you know?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And if a Lions coach
Now I gotta look
finishes
that up.
10-6 back in the day, you had a ticker tape parade. down
Oh, yeah.
Woodward. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Or a press conference at someone's front doorstep.
Boy, you really liked that, didn't you?
Yeah, that's a great story.
Yeah, still can't believe it.
Yeah.
Friday morning.
This team is different, and it's because of Dan Campbell, Terry. You see him up on the podium during the press conference. We'll take him wherever. Whatever team, we'll play him. We'll line up across from them. Let's go.
Play on pavement.
Yeah.
Play on the landfill. That's the mentality you need.
Yeah.
They were 13-3, went to the Super Bowl in 2006. He went 10-6 in 2012. They fired him.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep. Yep.
Isn't that what teams do now?
Yeah.
Tom Thibodeau got fired after taking his team to the
It makes no sense.
Eastern Conference Finals.
right.
Yeah. Everyone's looking for the new shiny toy. That they don't appreciate what they have until it's gone.
It's the whole. I'll go to hockey, and a guy I've known for a long time, Pete DeBoer. All he does is go to conference finals, and he got fired. And so much of it comes down to, well, if there's a whisper in the locker room, or they don't like the way you handled this, or they don't think you're good with the young guys, whatever the case may be, that's the impetus to getting rid of you. Yeah. And it's like, this is a guy that all he's done the last few years is take different teams to the conference finals, and then they end up canning him. But that's the nature of the beast today, man. And half of it is culture. Let's be honest.
No,
Terry.
it is.
It is.
I think what happens now is no matter how good the season is, you poll the locker room.
Yep.
Which is probably a mistake, but that's what you do. And some dudes say, look, I don't like this dude. I know we made it to the conference finals. I know we won 80% of our games, but the shit is about to hit the fan with this dude. If we keep him, stuff's gonna happen. So management's like, man, we better do something.
Yeah. We're lucky here in Detroit, though. I know where this is a Lions show, but our basketball team is a benefactor of that happening. We got JB Bickerstaff because Cleveland thought they needed to, change things up after he built that team. We're lucky we got JB Bickerstaff on our bench now. Was Kenny Atkinson the coach of the year? Kenny Atkinson, was he enough to get the Cavaliers over the hump? Not yet.
It's the players.
Yeah. Let me. I got an announcement for you guys before we continue.
Oh, you're getting married. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You wish.
What's
you
his
wish.
name?
What? Oh,
Damn.
You walked me right into that. I don't even. I got to think of a comeback.
All right, go
for
ahead.
That one. No, you go ahead.
You're about to announce you're getting married.
No, we're doing a merch giveaway.
Oh, why are
we
we?
got merch to give away
Okay.
on this show. So, for those in the chat, first off, thank you for all your support. This is the Lions Weekly Update.
Right.
Hosted by Terry Foster, Sean Baligian. My name's Matt Broder. We got Willie in the sound booth and Brandon, Detroit Kool-Aid, Dent in the TD booth. We're going to give away merch when we hit $50 total in the chat. Am I saying that right, Kool-Aid? We hit $50 in super chats. We're giving away merch. We're also giving away merch when we get to 100 likes. So you got us for about another hour. We get to 100 likes, $50 in super chats. We're going to do 2 separate giveaways. So if you could hit that like button for us, it helps support us and the network. And if you're interested in a comment read right from the top, throw in a little super chat. We'll get that up. So
Dude,
thank you
sound
again.
like you're trying to raise money for Jerry's kids.
Yeah, Jerry. Wait, which
No, that's
Jerry?
the wrong Jerry.
I know. Which Jerry are you talking about?
Jer-
Jerry Caldwell?
Jerry Lewis.
Jerry Falwell?
There was this thing.
Oh, that's right. He doesn't know about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I know.
The
Tell me.
Jerry
Talk to me.
Lewis telethon was every Labor Day weekend. Mm-hmm. It was on for like 48 hours where he raised money for the Muscular Dystrophy
Yes.
Association. I think that's what it was.
I know what you're talking about.
And it was, look, it was a great it was the cheesiest variety show you could ever imagine. But they raised
But it
millions
worked.
and millions of dollars for MDA, so you tip of the cap and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, I would love to raise millions and millions of dollars for WSN.
Yes.
Yeah, so I just got to get a little cheesier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. There we go. $50 super chat, 100 likes. We're handing out some free merch. And we got some pretty sick merch in that store, I got to admit. This is one of the shirts.
I like your shirt.
Thank you. This is just one of the classic, the old school ones.
Well, old school is good sometimes.
It is. It is. Thank you for teaching me your ways.
Like, I like to rock the old school Tiger stuff. And then somebody gave my wife an old school Lions shirt with the guy, the creepy lion.
Yeah.
And she said, there's something wrong with this lion. He's too skinny. I said, girl, you better keep that shirt. That's vintage.
Yeah. That's classic.
So she didn't want to keep it. And then somebody else said, oh, you got the old school Lions thing. She said, that's what my husband said. I said, well, listen to me sometimes. Yeah. That's what you want.
Yep. No doubt. Even though, sometimes I look at the old school logos and I start to do a little of that. You start to have some flashbacks, but it's a process. I'm healing. We're all healing.
You know what? Even I'm healing. I'm good with every uniform in Detroit except the teal with the Pistons.
You're okay with that being
Hated
gone?
Man.
Yes.
Look at Kool-Aid's face. Kool-Aid's in shock.
I know he loves it.
Oh my god.
That thing sucks.
All right,
man.
I don't
It's
like-
terrible.
All
It's
these
terrible.
young people are like, oh man, this is a great uniform.
No, it's
they
not.
wear it around like they looking good. You look like crap in those things, and you're like, oh, this is good.
I don't want Broder to throw something at me. He's our resident baseball guy. I think the City Connect softball jersey's atrocious.
Oh, it's horrible.
I can't. And I will also add, the Lions black, I don't like it at all.
Not a fan.
Not at all. And you know what it is? This goes back to how this whole conversation started.
Yeah.
Okay. It is shades of the 2005 Fat Mike Williams in the black uniform.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Okay.
Fat Mike Williams.
With
But they had to make him look thin.
with Cheeto stains all over his jersey. He just got done destroying a bag of Cheetos right before the game. So there's like stains all over his jersey. And honestly, that I openly admit that's a me problem. Okay. I don't know if the jersey looks good or not. I can't get past taking me back to that era of Detroit Lions football. When I see that, that's what I think of. I think of John Joseph Harrington and Fat Mike Williams, and I immediately I'm frightened again.
Yeah.
All right. I like the black uniforms. I don't look at it in the same manner as this man. I just like the way it looks.
Yeah.
I'm just about fashion.
You're just about fashion. You like him with that blue helmet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm okay with
It's
it.
different. They win in them, and I'm okay with that. Whatever. Just go get some W's.
Exactly. In January and February.
Yeah.
January and February.
There is a current uniform I hate.
Which one?
The Lions gray uniform.
Like
All grays.
they I think that's what they subbed out the black uniforms for, the grays, the pajamas.
Yeah, the pajamas. They
Yeah.
usually wear it on the road.
I kind of like them.
I did too.
Yeah. But I get why
Be
people
different.
don't. They're different.
Yeah, all right.
They're different, but I don't know. I liked them. I liked them better than the blacks.
Looks
I'm being
like
honest.
something you put your kids in
Yeah, the onesie.
to go to bed.
Yeah.
Onesies.
Okay, so now we're the throwback that everybody loved, the Chris Spielman throwback. I didn't like it.
No.
I know I was probably the only person in the fan base, and that's okay. With just the all silver helmet or gray or whatever you want to call it.
With Mike McMahon on Thanksgiving Day.
And
Yeah,
the high socks.
yeah,
I love that uniform.
Did you see?
That's my favorite Lions uniform.
I think I'm the only one that didn't like it.
I think we just different.
Okay, that's okay too. That's let's embrace that.
I'd be curious what Dean Edwards in the chat thinks, or what his favorite uniform is. Because he says, I've been watching Lions for 40 years, and we have had such little success. Every win matters to me. You do not worry about regular season or division wins is bullshit, he says.
Bless his heart.
Willie says, bless his heart.
Hey, I'm not going to tell you how to think. I'm glad that I graduated, that I'm not at that point anymore. I did. I graduated. I don't say that disrespectfully to you, because like you, I've been watching even longer than you. We're at a different place. This is a different franchise right now with a different set of expectations. Okay? Before, we grew up in an era where, golly gee, it'd be great if we went 9-7 and just found our way into the playoff. You know what? That's the baseline expectation now. And I allow my brain to say the words Super Bowl. I do. And I never did that in my life. Well, twice. I was guilty of it twice. One after the fact, like when they beat the Dallas Cowboys, okay? I literally said to myself, oh my gosh, they're a win away from the Super Bowl. And you know why I said that? Because they were a win away from the Super Bowl.
About 1991?
91.
Or 92, actually, but.
January 92.
Right. They weren't really that close.
No.
They were one game away, but they got mollywopped.
You got it. The only time we're heading into the playoffs, I think I told you, the 95 season. When they finished the 95 season with 7 straight wins, and it was my first year in this business, and I was telling all my friends, you guys don't understand. I've been in that locker room. It's different. And then, of course, they got absolutely massacred by Philly. That was the only time in my life where I allowed myself to say Detroit Lions in Super Bowl. I don't think you're a nut to say Detroit Lions in Super Bowl today. And how do I say that? Well, look at the last 2 years. I don't think you're crazy for saying it. I don't. That should be the expectation. So, again, no disrespect to you. If that's the way that you conduct your business, God bless you. But I'm just not going to get worked up, good, bad, or indifferent, about regular season wins. Because right now, this is one thing we all agree on. The ultimate success failure is what transpires in January and February. Period. End of story.
Earlier, you said the Lions don't have to convince the Packers, the Bears, or the Vikings.
Yep.
Here's who they have to convince. A lot of their fan base. Because let me warn you about something that's going to happen this year. No matter what happens during the regular season, we're going to hear, well, that's not good enough for the playoffs.
Yep.
That I don't care that they won a bunch of games. Jared Goff is still going to be mistake prone. And so we're going to hear that a lot. Now, if they lose, we're going to hear, I told you so. Told you this team is not really that good.
The same old
So
Lions.
the regular season is going to be, I don't want to call it a wash, but it's going to be frustrating. Because no matter what they do, it's going to be like, so what?
I told Neil Rule on Big D Energy, check him out, 9 to noon. Terry, honest to God, this is going to be the most arduous regular season because of that reason.
Right.
This is going, from our vantage point, we are going to hear from every guy, okay? 12-5 is not going to be good enough. I tried to tell you losers. All we are going to hear, and after losses especially, the pick apart of wins is going to be horrible. But after losses, Terry, you're absolute. Every loss this team has, and you people think this is a Super Bowl team. Again, not knowing that this is how real teams live. Not knowing that, yes, the Kansas City Chiefs can lose multiple times to the Las Vegas Raiders and Aiden O'Connell and still go win a Super Bowl.
Are you still going to do that show with Neil Rule?
I might hang myself instead.
All right, I want to
Come on.
I want to
Come on,
warn
Mr.
you,
Legion.
because when you're sitting in that chair, here's what you're going to hear. You people out there don't know football like I do. Yes, they lost a game, but it's still one of the best teams in the National Football League. Trust me, they're going to be good. I know, because I've been there.
Oh, man.
I'm warning you, that's what you're going to have to listen to. Now, here's what I want you to do. Try not to snicker too much. You can snicker,
All right.
but he's going to get all pompous and badass and lecture these people. And you know what? They're going to deserve it. They are.
You know, you're sitting next to, not secondhand smoke, but you've received secondhand hate from Vikings fans. That
was unbelievable.
You're in the purview.
That was the strangest thing last year. No, I'm glad you brought that up. That was weird.
Well, when your co-host starts talking about Justin Jefferson like he's Kenny Galladay, you might run into some issues.
Yeah, I got to the point where I would tell the Viking fans, and like they came at me on Twitter, and I'm going, what? I'm not Neil. Like Terry, seriously, I said very early in the year he started calling them a fraud. And I said, well, let's define fraud. I said, are they a playoff team? Yes, but they're not doing anything come playoff time. And Neil would cut, no, they're not a playoff team. They're not a playoff team. And I'd go, Listen, you guys, do you want me to say you're a Super Bowl contender? I don't think you are. Do I think you're a good team? Do I think this is a good run? And I think KOC's a hell of a coach. Okay, I really do. I think KOC's a hell of a coach. All right. So what are you shooting at me for? But they shot at me left and right, and so as the season grew on, I never had any feelings about the Vikings my entire lifetime. They were just the Vikings. Okay. I got to be honest, thanks to you Viking fans, boy, I don't like the Vikings now.
No.
I mean, they're not Bear level for me.
No.
We've talked about this before. It depends what generation you grew up in. I get it. Most younger people hate the Packers. The Packers were the Lions' tormentors. My son, I'll use my son as example, hates the Packers. Hates the Packers with everything. For me, Terry, it was always the Bears. It was always, I watched the Bears and I wanted to be the Bears so badly. I openly admit it. I wanted to be that team with the swagger. I wanted to be the team with the cocky quarterback. I wanted to be the team that knocked out your quarterback each and every week. I wanted my Mike Ditka. So yes, I openly admit today, it was pure jealousy. I wanted to be what the Bears were. And even if it meant just gasp one Super Bowl, and you guys have been living on that thing for 40 years, you Bear fans. Nobody's worse than that, okay? So be it. You can. You watched it. You lived it. Just one time, Terry. Just one time. That's all I'm asking for. Just one, like the Bears, and I'm cool.
I was tormented by the Minnesota Vikings.
You were.
As a kid. Because I think they beat the Lions 17 out of 18 times. And it was like stupid stuff, too. Lions up 4, somebody a fumble, or they bounce it off somebody's head, and the Vikings always won. And every game was 19-17.
That was early in my football fandom. Fran Tarkington, Chuck Foreman, Ahmad Rashad, the late Jim Marshall. That was early in my football remembrance. So, I didn't experience that as much as you did because, to Terry's point, people forget, the Vikings were a damn good team in the 70s, all right?
4 Super Bowls.
4 Super Bowls,
yeah. Right?
I mean, this close, and, they went to the Super Bowl, got pumped a couple times, but they were a damn good team. And then, Tarkington retired, and it was kind of like they took a step back with a guy by the name of Tommy Kramer, and that began the Bear era. Then the Bear, so that was when I was growing up. The early 80s is what I remember the most. The late 70s are a little foggy. So, Terry, that's exactly it. I think for people a little bit older than me, it's probably the Vikes. And then people a little bit older than that, you go back to Green Bay. It was Green Bay that tortured them,
Yeah.
And the Lions never tortured anybody.
No.
But I think the Lions-Bears thing is so close because Chicago looks at us as a little brother.
Yeah.
We're just a little cute little town trying to make it here on the Great Lakes. They don't respect us. They don't think this is a real city. There's no real franchises here, so they just kind of make fun of us.
There is no okay, and I'm going to say this, and I think you guys will agree with me. And Chicago Bear fans, I'm warning you right now, you're going to get. There is not a more delusional fan base than the Chicago Bears fan base.
Oh, yeah. No lies.
They are the absolute worst. And my buddies and I have done this for years.
What about Dallas?
No, I think Chicago's
Really?
worse.
All right.
But think about it. Dallas, at least you can say they've been to the playoffs multiple times.
Yeah, when Columbus discovered America.
Yeah, but they've been to the playoffs. We all wait for Dallas to fall apart.
Can I stop
the
you for a
Bears don't make
second?
the playoffs.
All right, can I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
You need to stop putting playoff teams on this huge pedestal.
No.
Because when you look at the NFL, the very worst teams make the playoffs 3 out of 10 times.
Yep.
To make the playoffs, all you have to do is be a little bit better than mediocre.
Yep. I agree with
So
that.
that's not that big of a deal.
It's not, but it's still better than a team that is perennially bad. You know what I mean? The Bears are bad. Think about all the shit last year, all that talk from Hard Knocks, which makes me laugh. I'm sorry. It's a made-for-television show, okay? It isn't real. I don't know how else to say that to you. We've all been to camp. What Hard Knocks is and what camp is are 2 entirely different things. I don't know how else to tell you that. But every year they do it. Somebody falls for that shit. Ooh, man. Do you see what the Bears got cooking?
Yeah, but didn't they fall for the shit with the Lions?
Yes!
So
100%. At least I'm being consistent.
And you know what? When I watch Hard Knocks, I actually like the Bears. I'm like, hey, I like these dudes.
You fell for it.
I fell for it.
Yeah.
Now wait.
I'm gullible.
There's a difference. You like these dudes or you think they're going to be good?
I liked them.
Okay.
Not that I thought they were going to be good, but I thought
that's fine. Yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm
I
cool
like
with
these
that.
brothers. I can hang out with
Yeah,
them.
but you guys, listen to like if you Chicago talk radio in August is prime comedy. It really is, and you guys can get mad. You know why you're mad at me? Because you know I'm telling the truth. It's prime comedy. Bears are going to the Super Bowl stuff. All that, man, I love that talk. And then the Bears win 5 or 6 games, wash, rinse, repeat. And but listen, it's fun to talk from this point because T and Broder, at one point in time, the Tampa Buccaneers were in our division, okay? And Tampa was a woeful franchise. Every year they found a way to beat the Lions. Every year. It was so we had no room to make fun of anybody. We really didn't. Even in our good years, Derry, didn't it seem like Tampa always beat the Lions once?
During the midst of a 27-game losing streak, Tampa beat the Lions. Some way, somehow. I don't know how that happened, but yeah. And I still remember Mike O'Hara. I think it was in the 90s. The Lions, last game of the season, all they had to do was beat the woeful Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get into the playoffs. Yeah. Tampa had nothing to play for. They were like 3-13 or 3-12. Mike O'Hara wrote, "This is the lock of the millennium." Lions lost.
Was that 81? Kevin House caught a touchdown late in the game. I remember that.
Yeah.
It just my skin crawls. Kevin, they were such a nothing franchise. They were. It was it made me sick.
And I hated the creamsicles.
You don't like them?
No.
Are you serious, Mr.
Do you know what it
Foster?
gave me?
Yeah, I'm serious.
They
Okay,
are
but you know what?
awesome.
For guys like us, it's flashback because there was also something that had to happen every time the Lions played the Buccaneers. Barry Sanders would take a handoff, and he would go for 77 yards and get tackled at the 2-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't that happen every gosh damn game they played Tampa? I'm convinced of it. Barry would take off, and you're like, Barry's gone, Barry's gone, Barry's gone. And he'd get, like, honestly, I remember that happening. And I know that's a running gag that Barry always got caught from behind and everything. It seemed like 99 times out of 100 it happened against Tampa.
Yeah.
And what happened when Barry got caught at the 2-yard line? What was the next move? They take Barry out the game. Not because he was tired from the 77-yard run. They didn't trust him inside the 5-yard line. So he would not play the rest of the series.
I mean, the most elusive player in the history of the NFL.
That guy.
Just because they're on the goal line?
Yeah.
That's insanity. Dad with Tourette's, just real quick in the chat, says, not a joke, his mom's biological father was a lineman on the Succaneers.
No
Probably
kidding.
in that era. Yeah.
No kidding.
He's been talking about the Bears. They've sometimes had the players, they just have really bad coaching. Like last year, bad coaching. Steve Wilby, I'm still watching Hard Knocks Lions reruns. Like it's still something that some of these Lions fans latch onto. It worked for the Lions. Like we got to get to know Dan Campbell.
Maybe it's because I'm from Detroit, but I think the Detroit Lions Hard Knocks was the best.
You think it was the best?
I think it was, and because of Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
You could just put your camera on and focus on this dude the whole 3 or 4 weeks, and you got a golden show.
It opened up the doors to this fan base to get to know Dan Campbell specifically, and the rest of these players on a more personal level. And it's like these guys want it too. Like we've been a horrible franchise. Question marks what this new coaching staff and regime are going to look like, but hey, there's some likable guys. Craig Reynolds, Netflix. Like we got to know some of the ingredients to this, the meal that we're seeing served today. And I think that helps people connect with the team, even when they were bad. And then as they got better, it was like, oh, we saw that kind of forming on Hard Knocks. We saw Dan Campbell. We thought it was goofy, but now we see that's how he connected with St. Brown and with Khalif Raymond and guys. It just brought a different perspective to us. I'm with you though. I fall for it for the Bears.
It has the ability. It has the ability to create the cult heroes too. You know, Malcolm Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like
Pimpleton or whatever.
This is like otherwise. You know, okay, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Right. And you fell for it for the Bears. See, I didn't fall for it for the Bears.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why I didn't fall for it for the Bears. And again, this is not a hard and fast rule, but I'll take my. You're talking about a rookie quarterback with a team that doesn't have a good offensive line, with weapons that were completely overrated. I think every Bear fan has to admit that. Completely overrated last year. So I did not buy into the Bear hype in any way, shape, or form last year. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now, again, I know what you're going to do. You're going to throw Jaden Daniels in my face. It's not a hard and fast rule. I'll take my chances that a rookie quarterback struggles. Yes. I will. I'll take my chances. And if I'm wrong, more often than not, it's going to be an exception to the rule. So I did not fall into the Bears at all. And I knew their head coach. We worked together in Toledo when I was doing Toledo games and everything. And I say this with respect. I thought he was over his head. Mm-hmm. And I say that with respect.
At Toledo.
Yeah. No, he was over his head in Chicago. Like, I mean, he was.
If you're over your head in Toledo, you're definitely going to be over your head in Chicago.
He was just an assistant in Toledo. Well,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it didn't. You saw it. I think sometimes you watch a team play, and there are guys. We talk about it all the time. Jim Caldwell, the moment far too often was too big for him, and all of a sudden he lost the ability to keep time. Mm-hmm. And that's when I would. He was not a head coach. I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody says. I'll say that forever. One of the nicest human beings that ever walked the face of the planet, okay? Mm-hmm. He wasn't a head coach. The moment was too big for him. You saw that out of the Bears, and I think we saw it on Thanksgiving. Listen, hey, Bears fans, we should have lost that game on Thanksgiving.
100%.
And you completely outplayed us from about mid-second quarter on. Your coach was a bozo and blew it. There. Your quarterback was a rookie quarterback, and he blew it. There. And that's the difference, I think, between good franchises and those cute little franchises that are trying so hard. Their little legs are running so hard, like the hamster on the wheel. Oh, if you're going to go, he's going so hard,
all right.
You're not going anywhere.
In over their head.
Yes.
Let's look at the Lions quarterbacks, not quarterbacks, but coaches since 2000.
All right.
One by one. Who was in over their head?
Marty
Morningweg, in over his head.
Mariucci was exposed. Mariucci was in a system and had success in that system. And then Mariucci had to come here and create his own system, and he was, in my mind, he was exposed.
I think because of me talking to dudes in the locker room, I think Mariucci was unable to overcome the incompetence of the organization.
Okay.
When you coach here with the Lions, you couldn't be a good coach. You had to be great.
Had to be.
To make the team mediocre. You don't have to do that anymore. No. I mean, Dan Campbell can march around, chewing his snuff and talking crazy, but it works. He doesn't have to be Superman to make the Lions work now. But I do think one of the words we don't use for him, and we need to, is innovative.
Yeah.
He's innovative.
100%.
He's smart. Like
100%.
He doesn't get credit for how smart he is. Still.
You know why? Because he acts like a doofus.
You got it.
He acts like
meathead.
He acts like one of the dudes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's a doofus to most of the world, but to a locker room full of 90 dudes, he's one of them. He can connect with them. People understand why he has dip in his mouth and says what he says.
Hey.
I get that. Like, what? They get it.
Take it easy with the snuff and dip stuff, guys, okay? Because it's I go for me. I need to pack one now.
Yeah, it's not a bad
thing.
Dipper. It's that's him being a human. That's him just being who he is. That's him. Like
he's
Jamal,
sharp. He's sharp as a tack.
He's sharp as a tack.
He knows what he's doing.
He could run this offense. He could be the OC, but he's smart enough to know, hey, I got other fish to fry. I got to run this team.
Yep.
So let me hire the best and brightest in Ben Johnson, or let me hire someone that actually two guys that I trust in Johnny Morton and David Shaw. Like, he's so smart to make the decisions to know he can't do it all. And there's something about that his ability to connect with the players. They appreciate that, and that's what you want on the field. Do your job and do it as best as you can, because we're putting the right guys around you to make the throw, Amon-Ra St. Brown. We got Goff to make that throw. You want to throw it deep, we got Jameson Williams. If you want to run the ball, we got 2 elite running backs. He's smart enough to do this, to know this. And that spreads from Brad Holmes down to the 90th player on the team.
Right. And in today's NFL, you don't even have to be a great X's and O's guy. You have to be competent. But here's the key. Motivate the players and don't lie to them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you can do those 2 things, you're going to be okay.
Yes. Yes. It's all a player wants to know when you're playing a game where I hate to say it, your life could end at every snap. You need to know that the person putting you out there on the field has your best interests in mind.
Right. Because, for instance, like if Coach Baligian over here lies to me, you know what's the first thing I'm doing? I'm going over here and going, this mug said to me? Yeah. Fuck him.
Yeah. Then you're tuning out in meetings,
right,
and you're not buying into the kneecaps.
Right.
I mean,
Mr. Long-winded one, did you say something? Because I didn't listen to you.
100%. No, you know what? It's like that business thing. You know, you get a good review, 5 people read it. Mm-hmm. You get a bad review, 20 people read it. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, that's what happens, because you're not going to turn around and go, Broder, Coach Baligian, I just had a great conversation with him. Man, he shot straight with me. He told me some things I didn't want to hear.
Yeah.
But respect.
Yeah.
All right? I'm kind of pissed, but respect. Mm-hmm. All right? He's going to tell maybe 1 or 2 people that. But if I fuck with him, like he said, that shit's going to spread like wildfire in the room, man. Mm-hmm. That's just the way it is.
I'll tell you this. One of my favorite coaches of all time, like personal coaches in basketball, growing up, Matt Gump. He was the JV coach at Cranbrook when I was a freshman. I hated his guts all of freshman year, most of the freshman season. I thought he was picking on me. I thought he was like singling me out in practice, just like making me a joke of the team. Until I got to varsity and I realized I was ready. He was being so tough on me. He was being so honest with me about what I needed to improve on and push me so much harder. I didn't realize it at the time, but once I got to where I was trying to go, I looked back and I was like, oh, that coach helped me get here. I hated him, but now I get it.
Isn't it amazing how that works
wild.
out? Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
One of my
now,
favorite coaches of all time.
Were you a Cranbrook crybaby?
No. I was just a not very athletic freshman who had some skills, and I needed to work on. I needed to be better at some things before I could hang with the varsity. So I got moved up halfway through and realized I wasn't as far away from being a good player than I thought.
Okay. Matt Gump.
Yeah. Shout out Gump. Coaching,
whatever you're doing, Mr. Gump. Good luck to you.
Yeah, he's now the varsity coach over there.
You made a player out of this man.
It's true. I love that story, and I try to tell it whenever it's possible, because a lot of times you don't realize what coaches, will just be specific, what these coaches are preparing you for. Why it's so nice to have coaches on this Lions team that have done it before. They know what the end result is supposed to look like. So they're putting you Tashard Choice, the new running backs coach. It's his first job in the NFL, but he knows what his job is and what he needs to get, not just Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, but Craig Reynolds and Sione Vaki. There's a vision of what it's supposed to look like. He can help get these guys there. They can't just do it just going to the weight room and showing up and running a couple plays. There's a whole level of mental education.
I think that is such a good point, and that is such a decided advantage for the Detroit Lions in this division right now.
Yes.
Okay? I'm sorry, it is. And I know none of y'all like to hear this, but, okay, 2 years in the NFL is a long time, okay? Mm-hmm. And again, we're 10-2 against this division. We've won the division back-to-back years. We've won playoff games, okay? There's a been there, done that mentality, all right? And the Minnesota Vikings, even with your good season last year, you didn't win a playoff game. Now all of a sudden you're entering this season with a new quarterback who, in all intents and purposes, is still a rookie. And rookie quarterbacks are going to have rookie quarterback moments. No matter how much you love them.
A rookie quarterback coming off of an injury.
Right. And no matter how much you love them, shout out to Broder, no matter how much you love them, are there questions about J.J. McCarthy? coming off the injury? Of course there are.
Well, there was questions because he didn't throw the ball at Michigan.
Right. So, and listen, even the Packers, you guys won a playoff game a couple of years ago. That was nice. I mean, honestly, so there's a little bit of that, been there, done that. But, again, I know Packer fans, and I know that if you're a Packer fan and you jumped in, you may not admit this to me, but deep down inside, I know you're feeling this way. Maybe Jordan Love isn't him. I know that's happening right now. I know it is. Do you know how I know that? Because Packer fans have talked to me. I know a shitload of Packer fans from the UP. And all I can tell you is every Packer fan I talk to basically says that is, okay, there's a next level for Jordan Love, right? Let me call.
Maybe.
2 years ago, I was shitting my pants. Like that Thanksgiving Day game and the way that he progressed late in that year and what he did to Dallas in that playoff game, I was going, oh, no, they did it again. That's the exception to an overall rule right now, man. So that's where you're at right now. Is Jordan Love him? That's real. I don't think he is either. I don't. I'm sorry.
No.
I don't.
I think he's solid. He'll be solid.
He will be solid.
I'll give him solid.
He's got skills. He's talented.
I'm not scared of solid.
No.
I'm not. I'm
no.
not.
Well, there's other NFL news that some people believe affected the Lions, and it's the fact that Aaron Rodgers went to Pittsburgh and not Minnesota. You're chuckling.
I can't wait to see this. Because something's got to give. Listen, Mike Tomlin practices witchcraft. He does. I have all the respect in the world for Mike Tomlin. How he's been able to get some of those teams he's had in recent years to the playoff. It's mind-boggling to me. You guys saw Aaron Rodgers last year. I'm going to say this. Neil and I got into this a little bit last year. What Aaron Rodgers was at the beginning of the year and what Aaron Rodgers was at the end of the year were kind of two different things. Go look at his numbers right now. It wasn't a horrible year. It really wasn't. He's not Aaron Rodgers anymore, though. That guy's gone. It's over. It's done, okay? And I think if you put a guy like that in that position, especially with some of his quirks and his attitude issues, I think that has all the makings for a shit show. I really do.
I'm sure it does. But the point I was getting to is,
sorry, pal.
If he chose Minnesota, would that have changed your mind about the Vikings being more of a threat to the Detroit Lions? So I don't think so. I think Aaron Rodgers would go to Minnesota, disrupt their culture, and they would be competitive. They'd be an annoyance. But no, that would not elevate the Minnesota Vikings to above the Detroit Lions.
I don't think it would have elevated them in the year Aaron Rodgers was playing, but I would be more worried about J.J. McCarthy in the future if he had another year behind Aaron Rodgers. Because I don't know how much he got to learn behind Sam Darnold while he was rehabbing his knee. If he had I'm a believer in sit a rookie quarterback behind a vet. Always. It doesn't always work like that. I get it.
Well, you're old school.
Yeah, I think the quarterback position is so difficult.
Yep.
It is so hard to do.
Yep.
And J.J. McCarthy has everything for him this year to succeed, but you have 17 different defensive coordinators spending their entire their job is to make sure that he is confused on game day when you play the Vikings. So they're going to get into who knows what kind of year he has, but first-year quarterback, question marks all over the place.
Do you know what this does for week one of the NFL season, too, for me, this Rodgers thing? And obviously, we're all going to be waiting for 4:25. Okay, the 1 o'clock games in week one, okay? And we always used to make the joke, the lines were always the JV before the varsity played at 4 o'clock. Here's the 1 o'clock games in week one. Cardinals Saints, does nothing for me.
No.
Dolphins Colts, nothing for me. Raiders Patriots, nothing for me. Giants Commanders, nothing for me. Panthers, Jags, nothing for me. Bengals, Browns, nothing for me. Buccaneers, Falcons, nothing for me. Steelers, Jets. I'm in. I'm automatically in. I am going to watch Aaron Rodgers play his former team in week one for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I am so in.
Those are all the 1 o'clock games?
Those are all the 1 o'clock games.
It's the worst schedule of 1 o'clock games you could ever have.
It's terrible,
like,
right?
that just kept getting worse.
It's Cowboys, Eagles the Thursday, Chiefs, Chargers, and then
Those are good.
we're all looking forward to 425. But those 1 o'clock games are great. The NFL is smiling right now because they know everybody's going to tap in on Pittsburgh and the Jets. Good. I can't wait for that.
How about pre-Christmas, a week before Christmas? Steelers come to Detroit, week 16. We get to see Aaron Rodgers up close and personal.
I'd like to boo him one more time.
Yeah, you know who also had Kirby?
Yeah, Kirby's a little excited about
Kirby.
that. He's a little excited about that.
I thought Father's Day was a week from today, but it's really December 21st for Kirby Joseph. I'm fascinated to see that. But you're right. Week 1, that's the game I'm interested in.
Yeah, you can't.
Steelers, Jets. And I want to see Aaron Glenn and Tanner Engstrand and former Bear Justin Fields.
Aaron Rodgers at this point in time, though, I think it goes back to you saw what happened last year. You saw late Green Bay. I think Aaron Rodgers would have been a detriment to what KOC's trying to do in Minnesota. I really do. I think he would have been a detriment to that. Because maybe a year, maybe 2 years, and then après-moi le déluge. After he leaves, you have to deal with the storm, right? So, yeah, I don't think you want any part of that. I don't think you want any part of that.
No, because after a while, he's going to stop coming to training camp. He won't go to OTAs. And the coach is going to have to be standing up there trying to explain it. Well, no, we gave him permission to go to Peru for a month. No, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
No, but I saw the Aaron Rodgers thing on Netflix where he's got some smoke and he's out in a very tropical area doing weird stuff, and he's lotioning his face and his knees and doing all kinds of weird stuff, and he's chanting, and
he's a big weirdo.
He is
one of the best quarterbacks of all time, but a big weirdo.
Well, he hasn't been one of the best quarterbacks in some time in a while.
That's also true.
He was phenomenal. Really, prime Aaron Rodgers.
Man.
Normally I get mad when people make the overstatements because it's, this can't always be one of the best. That can't always be. I have no problem with you saying that. I agree with you. In my lifetime, prime Aaron Rodgers is up there with a lot of quarterbacks, man. He is.
You feel dirty saying it, but if you're being honest.
Yep.
That's part of you talking about the different eras of Lions fans. Was it the Bears that they feared, or were the thorn in their side? Was it the Packers or the Vikings? My era growing up, we went from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers.
Yep.
It was just back to back. How can this Green Bay team just keep pumping out quarterbacks and we can't find ours?
That's why I was scared crapless when Jordan Love had that little span in the 23 season where, and the Packers are on TV all the time, so it wasn't just Thanksgiving, but the way he finished that season and what he did in that Dallas game, and even moments against that Frisco game. There was a little while where I was thinking to myself, it could be Lions, Packers, NFC Championship. Are you kidding me? I was like, they did it again. They did. I've had to deal with Brett Favre from 1992 who beget Aaron Rodgers, and now they're going to go right into the next one. He ain't that guy. I'm sorry. Right. Jordan Love is not that guy.
He's not that guy. But you know what? And don't laugh at me, please. I think eventually this division is going to come down 4 or 5 years from now. Who's better, Lions or Bears? They're going to end up being the two teams that you fear.
I hope you're right. I hope the Lions are in that mix. I believe it.
But
I want them to be in that.
I think the Bears are going to be their nemesis, and we're going to hate them even more.
It all falls on Benedict, the man who Sean won't name, who coaches the Bears.
Who's the coach of the Chicago Bears?
I don't know.
Can't say it. It's someone
whose name I dare not mention.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny, though. You talked about wanting to be the Bears growing up. You admitted.
Oh, I did.
You wanted to be that. Seeing Ben Johnson run the offensive lineman fly routes during practice, that they used to do with the Lions on Fridays. I think they did it on Thursday of this last week with the Bears. Again, there's something cheesy about what he's doing down there. I every week that goes by, I don't know, man. I don't know if that dude can lead a locker room. I think he's trying too hard.
He is trying.
The tie during draft day.
He is trying hard, but you have to understand, he has to put on a show for the Bears fans. I think that's what he's doing. I think
Is he doing a little Dan Campbell?
I think he's trying to.
Is he doing a little Dan Campbell?
But can he do the Dan Campbell?
Yeah.
Or does he realize, not that he's Jim Harbaugh, does he realize that his weird needs to be presented in a different way? Connect?
It doesn't come across naturally.
He does not.
Listen, I had a big problem, and I have no problem saying this, with some of the media people in this town who tried to lecture people for the way they felt about him leaving for the Chicago Bears. I had a big problem with that, okay? I'm not wishing ill will on the man.
No.
I'm not wishing that anything bad to happen to his family, anything like that, okay? All right? But you know what I am wishing? I hope he fails miserably.
Miserably.
You know why? Because it affects my team. It affects my team. His success affects the Detroit Lions. Like people, the holier than thou, there were some people that were very pious. I'm not going to mention any names. There were some people in this town that were one in particular surprised me. I'll leave it at that. Like, I don't want any success for that man. Nothing, okay? This isn't Aaron Glenn going to the Jets. Whatever, man. Have a blast in New York, okay? I don't care, all right? I have to see this man at least 2 times for the foreseeable future with a team that is do not tell me that I don't reserve the right to immediately make him an enemy.
Yeah.
Listen, I brought this up before. I've known Joik Bell for 15 years. I was fortunate enough to call his games in college. I shit you not. You can ask Joik this. When Joik signed with the Bears, you know what I said? Hey, man, nice knowing you. Oh, come on, don't like Joik, nicest guy on earth. Don't do me like that. I go, Joik, you're not getting anything from me. You're a Bear now. You don't exist in my world. Once you stop being a Bear, we can be buddies again. But you're a Bear.
Do you feel this way about every team in the division?
Yes, but
Which you should.
there's extra angst with the Bears. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
There is. There's extra angst with the Bears. Yes, I don't care if he went to, well, KOC's a bad example. If he went to Green Bay, because that guy's time's coming. I'm convinced that guy's time's coming. Do you agree with me?
Yeah,
I think
We
think the clock is ticking with LaFleur. I really do.
We opened up the show. We were talking about coaches who have had some sustained success, but not able to get over the top, and teams moving on from them once they prove they can't reach the Super Bowl or win the NBA championship. LaFleur, great coach, good regular season coach. He keeps making mistakes when the time matters too.
But you remember that was a weird afternoon. All afternoon you got these people getting up on their soapbox. I don't understand all the hate coming for he whose name I dare not mention. Look how much he did for this franchise. Both things can be true. I can applaud you. I can say thanks for your efforts. And I can sit back and turn this way and go, I hope you lose miserably. Why? You're my enemy now.
Yeah.
Like it was the weirdest
Here
dynamic.
is the ugly, ugly truth about the NFL. The clock ticks on everybody.
Amen. You're right, T.
In a way, the clock is ticking on Brad Holmes. From this standpoint, we know he can figure out how to build a team, but now will he be able to figure out how to keep a team? Because they're going to have contract disputes. They're going to have pissed off players who feel that they're not getting. And we're seeing a little bit of that now with Anzalone. They're disrespecting me. So can he navigate this part of it? Because at some point, the whole let's be patient thing, we don't need to bring in any big names, it's not going to work at some point.
Fair.
And the other fear is, and I think this is what scares Brad Holmes, he could bring in that high-priced guy who comes in here and just like starts eating peanuts and Whoppers and Big Macs and fries and just doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, Albert Hainsworth.
Right. Who people
Fat Mike Williams.
beg. Yeah, we've got our share of fat guys. Gossip
Fat wide receivers aren't good though.
Yeah,
we got. Let's get that one out of the way, especially fat wide receivers.
Yeah.
We had Gossip Chairlish.
That's your boy.
I liked him because his mom was a clown.
Yeah.
For real.
Literally a clown, by the way.
She was a clown.
No,
she had those big feet.
No, it's a real. That's
Yeah, like,
that's
Actually
real.
in the circus. not just like a clown.
Well, not the circus, but she would go to kids' parties and say, hey, everybody, I'm Mrs. Cheerless. You want to have a good time? I think she was Bimbo the birthday clown. Hi, my name is Bimbo. You want to have fun today, kids? Wee.
I'm sure that was her name.
That sounds so creepy.
Well, clowns are creepy.
Just that.
Dude.
That line. You want to have fun today? No, I don't want any fun today.
You know how the Lions could freak out the NFL? They lost Ragnow, right?
Yeah.
Have the entire offensive line play with clown makeup on. They'd freak everybody out, and they'd be a good offensive line again. Because like, these dudes got to be crazy.
Make it happen. No, there was a comment.
I'm going to suggest that.
Pardon?
I'm going to suggest that.
Do it. Hey, whatever it takes to get in the head of the person lined up across from you. Am I right?
Right.
You know, Doc Macaroon in the chat, the comment is now gone from my view, but I'm going to paraphrase Doc. Also, Doc, incredible beat writer for Lions on SI. He said the
Good
thing
dude.
about this Lions team, really great dude, helped me as I was starting my career in sports media. A lot of respect for him. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, fortunately the Lions have time now. Like, we got this Frank Ragnow news, some of the injuries that have happened. We're learning Malcolm Rodriguez is out till, November. We have time now. We're not learning about this as the season has gone on. Does that give you a little bit of optimism that they'll figure it out now because they can adjust, they can adapt?
Terry, doesn't this go back to something that I think has been a common theme on this show? Everybody's so infatuated with the window, right?
Correct.
The window, is the window open? Is the window closed and everything? Do you know what, like Doc, I think this is another perfect example of everybody who says the window is closed, and there are a lot of people out there.
Come on.
The window is open. And do you know why the window is open? Because you have a forward-thinking, chess-playing general manager in Brad Holmes, who saw that Frank Ragnow wasn't going to be here. Listen, in all likelihood, this was probably going to be his last season.
Yeah.
Really? This was probably going to be his last season. So you know what he did? He took some precautions, and he got some things in place for that day that when Frank Ragnow calls it quits, he was going to be ready. Now, did this happen sooner than we thought? Yep. Is there going to have to be a maturation and a continuity aspect to things? Yep. But the pieces are in place. Yeah. And that's why I think, when we have the yearly discussion of Brad Holmes is an idiot and doesn't know how to draft, right? Okay. A year later, 2 years later, it's amazing how often the tune changes. Whoa, wait a second. Wait. Now I understand why you made that. Oh, you sly dog, you. So, Doc, to that point, you're absolutely right. I think time is a word that I would use for the Detroit Lions. And a reason why I say again, we're not in win now mentality, but we're desirous of win now because you know what? At the end of the day, I don't want to sit back and say 15-2 wasn't a success. I don't want to say that, but we've graduated to that level.
I love it. Doc wanted me to follow up and ask you how the cornbread tastes.
You know what? I'm eating more than ever in my lifetime, and it's real. This is real.
Oh, he got the honey butter cornbread over here.
Man,
With the little
How
jalapeno.
good is that?
oh, it's so damn good.
No, you don't do
kidding
the
me?
jalapeno. You do the corn in it.
Well, right.
No, you do actual corn in the cornbread.
Yeah.
You ever had that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You put that honey butter, but you got to spread it liberally on there too.
I haven't had breakfast yet, guys. Like,
It's so good.
you're making me
This
hungry
guy
here.
over here, he's a Jiffy cornbread guy. You just the bare minimum.
Our true story. So back in the day, my daughter's class. Don't ask me why they decided to do this in her elementary school. They took a field trip to the Jiffy
Really?
factory. And the funniest thing is all these little
Peanut butter
kids
factory?
are like holding up they got a little box of Jiffy. And I was like, Detroit Lion fans, the next generation.
Yep.
There they are.
Yep.
You know, I mean, because that's
Corny.
what they get us in. They suck us in. And some people have walked away. I was one of those people. I never walked away. There were moments where I thought I can't do this anymore. but they were fleeting, and I was back in, and I've stuck with them.
That's why when people say I'm Lions free,
I don't believe it.
you know what I'll say? You're a damn lie.
Yep. I don't
You're
believe
lying.
Terry, I just noticed there's
Capping.
something going on in the chat. People are they're commenting on what you're dressed for. What are you doing later in the day? China Virus says Terry's hosting the Detroit's Got Talent later. Mike G says Terry's dressed like he's headed to Jazz Fest in Midtown.
Is there a Jazz Fest in Midtown?
I don't know. He
If
says
it is, I'll go there.
Midtown's great. I haven't heard anybody say
Roderick
this.
Turner, Terry's
It
dressed
is.
like a resident at the retirement community pimp.
Yeah.
Seriously?
can do
I
that.
think these are all
You know what?
compliments. They're just classic.
Don't hate the
That's
player.
my goal in life. I want to be a pimp at a retirement home.
Hey, Broder, Mildred's free between 10 and noon.
That's right.
do you know retirement homes are the highest? What is it like the?
Venereal disease.
Yeah, venereal
yeah.
disease, right.
Isn't that crazy?
It's insane. It's like, hey, I guess get it out of your system before
Damn.
you're laying parallel for the rest of eternity.
But you know what happens is you are on, like these old ladies are on the shelf for a long time and stuff just starts to grow. And then the fella
Shit.
comes in
Damn, Terry.
at the wrong time,
Damn.
wrong place.
I am gonna vomit.
Yeah.
I am
Hey.
thinking of like raw cottage cheese right now, and I need to get that out of my head.
Ryan's reaction. Terry wants to know when Meemaw is going to get Terry's money.
But it's true.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah.
Hey, that don't stop that dude from trying to
Get his rocks off.
get his groove on.
Speaking of STDs, you know who comes back week 4 of the preseason?
Whoa.
C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He's on the Texans, and he makes
I know,
his
but
return
why-
to Detroit.
Why's he got to have a disease?
I don't know. I just figured let's transition STD
I
and
ain't get it, but
CJGJ and, see if you guys would pick up on it or something.
Because that's
Which you
your
did.
boy. You disrespecting him.
No, that is my guy.
It worked.
The way he left, he's not my guy anymore.
No,
but
he's your guy because he talked to you.
Yeah, he did. I enjoyed covering him in the locker room. He was an honest dude to a fault. Mm-hmm. How he left, how he went back to the city that he gave two birds to, pun intended, question marks. But he's coming back. Just another little storyline for the preseason. Talking about venereal diseases.
The preseason was always absolutely useless to me.
Yeah.
It is. I can't tell you how infinitely useless it is to me now, especially that we have a good team that I know. That now, again, that doesn't mean I'm not going to watch. But my least favorite thing for years is people making a mountain out of a molehill. Mm-hmm. Every good, bad, or indifferent about the exhibition season. And I've seen it both ways. We all lived through 4-0 preseason champs in 2008.
Oh, yeah.
And we've seen the flip side of it. I'm sorry. You can't expect to be a contending team. Did you watch that second quarter? I mean, how many times have we heard shit like that? Mm-hmm. It's and you're like, dude, okay, there were 22 guys on the field in that second quarter. Out of those 22 guys, maybe 5 of them are going to make the team eventually.
And
maybe
you could probably kick 10 of theirs asses.
Yes, that is the worst bit in the history of mankind. Is anybody putting anything into preseason football?
You know what? And this shouldn't piss me off, but it does. When you get some incompetent poops on TV talking about a preseason game, oh, wasn't that great? The Lions beat the Cleveland Browns. Who gives a fuck? Nobody.
What's the name of that? The Great Lakes Trophy or whatever? Like, what is it?
It's the Great Lakes Trophy. Yeah.
Is that the Great Lakes?
Yeah.
Between the Lions and the...
Pointless.
What? Is this what we're doing? Look, secretly, you guys know this, okay? These guys don't want to play those games. No. Nobody wants to play those games. It's great. I used to say this all the time when the kids were little. If you haven't introduced your kids to a Lions game yet, back in the day, not so much anymore because you know it's going to be a sellout or close to it, bring them to an exhibition game. You know what? That's a great introduction to it. It isn't crazy loud. You get the excitement of a regular season game. Your kid don't know any different. Dad, wasn't that great when we beat the Bills? Oh, I'll never forget it, son. You know, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
No. The kid will say, "Hey, wait a minute, Dad. Number 43 there, wasn't he putting our groceries away at Farmer Jack?" Oh, he says, "No, why do I keep saying Farmer Jack?
That's
There's
a
no Farmer
classic,
Jack."
man. That's a
classic grocery
It was
store.
a great grocery
Yeah,
store.
it was
Classic.
phenomenal.
We were a Farmer Jack family, right?
Yeah.
Same here.
Shout out 7 in Farmington. That was
Yeah.
our spot. That was our spot.
Maple and
12th at
Gloucester.
Virginia
Farmer
Park
Jack
over
up
there.
But that's why. Okay, that's why this year, I'm going to say it again, is going to be such an arduous year because we're going to go through that yearly routine in the preseason, and we're going to go through exactly what you brought up earlier in the show, T. Every loss is going to be the end of the world, and you're going to have wagging finger guy. I tried to tell you guys. Remember on June 8th, I got in that chat, and I told you guys, this team, the window is shut. They might not even be a 500 team. Yeah, we're going to hear all of that this year.
My big Ralph, who's my brother-in-law, he said the Lions will be lucky to make the playoffs this year. I said, dude, no, stop it.
Ralph.
Big Ralph.
Come on, Ralph.
Ralph.
Here we
Ralph.
go again.
Ralph.
Come on.
He's a big boy.
All right, Mr. Ralph. So let's talk about this division. Worst case scenario, Mr. Ralph. How many games do the Lions win in this division? Worst case scenario.
3.
4.
4. That's what I would say.
I said they could finish 4-2.
Right. I'm not being funny. I think that's worst case scenario. Okay. There's 4 wins right there. Okay. So there are 11 games left. There are 11 games left. You 6-5? Is that asking too much to go 6-5?
No.
10-7 gets you in the playoff right there. Now again, we're talking worst case scenario here.
Right.
We're talking worst case scenario. 10-7 is going to get you in the playoff, right? You might win a division at 10-7. Let's be honest, right? Mr. Ralph, I'm going to have to disagree with you there. I'm sticking with 12-5. I am. Maybe I'm being a slap, especially in light of the Frank Ragnow stuff. And I think eventually at the end of the year it'll be okay. I think early in the year there's going to be some continuity issues. I do. I think we're all going to have to see it. It'll change in real time. It helps having Mr. Fraley. It helps having other pieces there, including the dominant one, Penei Sewell. But at the beginning of the year, I think there's going to be an adjustment period, no doubt.
Yeah. If we could, this show's wrapping up. We got 3 likes to 100 before our merch giveaway.
Come on, you
Let's try
guys.
3
Do it.
likes in 3 minutes. You guys, bring
You
it.
can do
Okay,
it.
come on, Jerry's kids. Bring it in. Raise that
I'll
money.
sing You'll Never Walk Alone if you do it, okay?
Yeah. Dante151 did do a super chat, $4.99.
Thank you, Dante.
Says, unfortunately, Sean, this coming season, people will go to preseason games instead of regular season games because of how much prices are.
He's right.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, Dante, that's why I think the window is closed for the parents to take their kids to an exhibition game and have that less than crowd. That he's right.
Yeah.
Those were off the hook last year, man.
Yeah. Insanity. Ryan's reaction, another $4.99 super
Thank you,
chat.
Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan. Says 9-8 season loading. So that's his season prediction.
Ooh.
Mike G also follows up with a $5 super chat.
Thank you, Mike G.
Terry Pimp at the American House, breaking hips and hearts. Respect.
Smooth.
Mike G loves you.
Where's the American House?
American House. There's one over on Telegraph and like between Square Lake and Orchard
that
Lake.
place, yeah.
Behind the Planet Fitness and Menards. Actually,
You know what you do with
shout
the
out, no
American
free
House?
shout out.
You pick up some old chick, take her to Andiamo, have her pay for it.
Offensive mile.
Next thing you know, you'll be itching too.
My uncle spent some time at the American House over the last couple of years. We had to go. My mom had to go. He would take a scooter out to Pontiac in the middle of the
want
winter.
some real good old stuff, you got to go to Fox Run.
Is that where they got
And, where's
the
that?
percentage is higher?
That is
110.
north of Novi. It's between Ann Arbor and Plymouth.
Yeah,
Fox Run.
Yeah. Fox Hills or Fox Run?
It's Fox something.
Okay.
Rename it Cougar Hills.
Yeah.
Or whatever the grandma version of Cougars
How
is.
did we get on picking up 80-year-olds?
I don't
What's
know.
going on here?
It was the American House. No, it was the pin pad at the retirement home.
It was your
that's
definition of culture. I like Dan
Because of my
Campbell's.
hat?
I like Dan Campbell's definition of culture much better.
Biting kneecaps in the nursing home. has a different sound to it. We're up to 113 likes.
Thank you, guys.
I was
Really.
just about to say.
Let it fly, Kool-Aid.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, man. Shout out to the people for supporting the show, supporting the content, supporting the extra content that's hitting the weekends now. What Broder, T. False, and Sean Baligian are doing. We got Willie B over here in the sound booth and the others that contribute. You know what? They're doing this just for real. Just be honest with y'all, as a labor of love, because they F with you guys in the chat. They love Woodward Sports. They love Detroit sports. They love the team. And so when we see this, when we see you guys going ahead, smash the like button like this. Right now it's 113 likes.
Stop talking.
We want to
Can
make
I
sure we
ask a
say
question to Willie B?
what up, though, to the
Yes, sir.
people, man.
Willie B, young guy here. What if a old lady like in her 80s comes up wearing a little dress and a little something? She pulls her teeth out and says, "Hey, baby, what's happening? Can we party today? What you gonna do?"
How much you gonna pay me?
Oh, you want some money?
He's a businessman. Willie's gonna stand
Hey,
up.
I thought Willie was gonna run. No, he's
I'm
not
gonna
running.
run.
Willie's
Not
gonna
a
stand
business
up.
man. I'm a
Willie
business
stand
man.
on business Willie over there, man. And just real quick for the people, email me, Kool-Aid at woodwardsports.com. Whoever the winner is, I'm going to let Broder pick the winner. But whoever wins, it's Kool-Aid at woodwardsports.com, and we will get you your merch.
See, Broder's gonna cheat. He's gonna pick somebody from Fox Run or Fox Hill.
You don't know what
Just
old
trying to
women
raise
do
my
when they wipe their
chances.
teeth.
I got a shout out though, Kenneth, $9.99 super chat. Said before Frank retired. Actually, it says before the Frank retired, and I kind of like that. Typo or not, the Frank. Before Frank retired, I said 14-3. Now I say 13-4. Fair to cut the game off that list.
I think they'll win 11 or 12 games.
Yes.
I'm in that area too, T.
Yes. I'm trying to think of. It's 9:30 here. What's one question we can ask, like a trivia type question, to give away this merch? Anything comes to mind. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. And no, I'm not going to do a Tigers question as they're up on the TV right there. But the Lions, something historic that happened last year.
Last year?
Yeah, just give me
If it
something.
happened
here.
last year, it's not historic.
No, I know, but like a stat or a moment. Maybe I'll just go with the draft pick. How about this? So, first person in the chat to name the final draft selection of the Lions in this previous draft.
Okay, that's fair.
I think they had 7.
That's fair.
There might have been 2 7th-rounders, but who was the final draft pick? First person in the chat.
You're gonna
we'll
win.
get the free merch giveaway. We'll find out who it is, and then we'll let Kool-Aid get all the information.
You know what we can do in the future? Give me all the Lion training camps locations.
Oh. Let's do that. We'll do that next week.
All right, good.
Like different locations that they have practiced at over the years.
right.
All right, I'm down with that. They used to practice, actually,
I know.
for off.
I know what you're. I know where you're going. you brought it up earlier.
I
as a
know,
matter
I know.
of fact, yeah.
The stories are
Uh-huh.
coming.
The Oval.
Yes. Vincent E says Dan Jackson, and that's not correct. Would you guys give it for if someone just shares the last name, or do we need the full
Fine.
name?
Give it the last name.
Last name. Our winner is John effing Lord. With
There-
Lovett. It was Dominic Lovett.
There you go.
Wide receiver from Georgia.
There you go.
Maybe gunner on the Lions special team. So John effing Lord. Hit up Kool-Aid. Is it Kool-Aid at woodwardsports.com? No hyphen, no period, nothing. Kool-Aid? Koolaid.
Kool-Aid with a K, right.
At
People don't know how
woodwardsports.com.
to spell Kool-Aid.
That'll do it. 9:33.
All right.
We got almost 300 people in here now.
Appreciate you guys.
122
Thank
likes.
you.
This was a pleasure, boys.
Beautiful. I had
Always
a good
fun.
time.
See you next week.
Take us out, T-Falls.
Well, yeah, we'll come back next week unless I'm at the old folks' home. Trying to pick up some women.
I'm gonna go vomit.
Earmuffs, Mrs. Foster.
I'm gonna go vomit.
You know what? I said I would never be with an old chick. I'm married to one now.
And that'll do it for the Lions Weekly Update with Terry Foster.
Is that the name
Sean
of the show?
Baligian and Matt Broder.
Yep. See you.